You know what? I should have listened to my spawning mother when she said research was a dead-end career. But no, I had to be the smart one, the curious one, the one who thought studying primitive species would be fascinating. Well, congratulations to me. I'm now floating in a life pod, watching my entire research station burn like a dying star, and all because we thought we could poke the humans with a stick. My name is Vex-Nine, and I'm what you might call a xenobiologist. Was. Past tense. Because as of 3 hours ago, my career went up in smoke along with the finest research facility in the Andromeda Arm. And it's all because of one particular human named Marcus Kane. Let me back up. 6 months ago, our species, the Kythara, discovered Earth, beautiful blue marble, teeming with life, and populated by these fascinating bipedal creatures who seem to have an unusual relationship with violence. Not the mindless brutality we'd seen in other species. Mind you, no, humans had this peculiar thing called controlled aggression. They could flip from peaceful to lethal in seconds, then back again like nothing happened. Naturally, the Council of Sciences was intrigued. How does a species survive with such volatile emotional responses? What triggers their combat state? Can we replicate it? Can we weaponize it? The usual questions that get research grants approved. So they built Station Omega-7, a massive orbital platform equipped with the most advanced behavioral analysis equipment in known space. And they put me in charge of the Human Emotion Study program. Lucky me. The plan was simple. We'd abduct a few humans, run some tests, document their rage responses, and publish papers that would make our careers. What could go wrong? Famous last words, right there. We started small, captured a businessman from New York, ran him through some stress tests, loud noises, bright lights, mild physical discomfort. He complained a lot, demanded to call his lawyer, but nothing spectacular. His anger was, well, boring. Office rage, we called it. All bluster, no substance. Then we grabbed a soccer mom from Nebraska. Same deal. She got upset, worried about her kids, but her emotional responses were within normal parameters. Sure, she threw a few choice words at us, but nothing that would crack reinforced steel. Dr. Zilith, my research partner, was getting frustrated. These humans are defective, she kept saying. The report said they were capable of extraordinary violence. These specimens are pathetic. That's when we decided to upgrade our selection criteria. Instead of random civilians, we'd target someone with military training, someone who'd seen combat, someone who might actually give us the data we needed. Marcus Kane was perfect. Former Marine, 2 tours in Afghanistan, decorated veteran, currently working as a security consultant. The perfect subject for our enhanced rage study protocol. The extraction went smoothly. Our stealth ship grabbed him from a parking garage in Detroit. No witnesses, no complications. He was unconscious during transport, so we had time to prepare the observation chamber. Now, here's where I made my first mistake. I assumed that because Kane was military, he'd be disciplined, controlled. I thought we could push his buttons gradually, scientifically, and document his responses in a nice, orderly fashion. When Kane woke up in the containment cell, he didn't panic like the others. He sat up, looked around, and asked in a perfectly calm voice, "So, what's the deal? Alien abduction, scientific study, or are you just really weird-looking humans with a twisted sense of humor?" Dr. Zilith was delighted. Finally, a specimen with composure. This will make for much cleaner data. Oh, how wrong we were. Kane spent the first day exploring his cell, testing the walls, checking for weaknesses. He was methodical, patient, almost professional. It was like watching a predator analyze its cage. Subject appears to be conducting reconnaissance, I noted in my log. Remarkable cognitive function under stress. No signs of panic or irrational behavior. We started with basic tests. Psychological questionnaires through the intercom. Kane answered them with what I now realize was malicious compliance. On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry are you right now? Oh, about a 3. But give me time. Do you feel threatened by your current situation? Not yet. But I'm getting there. Are you planning to escape? Planning? No. I'm way past planning. Dr. Zelith was recording everything. Fascinating. The human shows signs of strategic thinking even under duress. This suggests their rage responses might be more calculated than we initially theorized. Day 2, we escalated. Sleep deprivation, irregular feeding schedules, temperature fluctuations. Kane's responses remained eerily calm. He exercised in his cell, did push-ups, practiced what looked like meditation. But his eyes were changing, getting harder, colder. Subject is adapting to environmental stressors. I recorded, showing remarkable resilience. However, there are subtle changes in facial expression and posture that suggest internal emotional escalation. By day 3, Kane had figured out our feeding schedule, our shift changes, even the patrol patterns of our security drones. He started talking to us during observation periods, and that's when I realized we'd made a terrible mistake. You know what's funny? Kane said, staring directly at the hidden cameras. You guys think you are studying me, but I have been studying you. Dr. Zelith looked at me. What does he mean? Kane continued, his voice still perfectly calm. I know there are at least 12 of you on this station. I know you have got standard security protocols based on containment theory. I know you think that steel wall is going to hold me. Impossible, Dr. Zelith whispered. He's been in isolation. How could he know any of that? And I know, Kane said, his smile getting wider, that you have never actually seen what happens when a human stops being nice. That's when the lights went out. The backup power kicked in immediately, bathing everything in red emergency lighting. But Kane was already moving. Somehow, impossibly, he'd gotten out of his cell. The reinforced door that should have required a plasma torch to breach was just gone, torn off its hinges like it was made of paper. Security breach in containment level 7, the automated systems announced. All personnel evacuate immediately. Dr. Zelith was paralyzed with shock. How? The door was rated for Class 5 containment. Nothing organic should be able to run, I told her. Whatever this is, run. But it was too late. Kane was already in the corridor, and he wasn't alone. Somehow he'd freed the other human subjects, the businessman, the soccer mom, even a teenager we'd picked up from Los Angeles. They were all there, and they all had the same look in their eyes. The look of humans who'd stopped being civilized. Attention, alien researchers. Kane's voice came over the intercom. He'd somehow accessed our communication systems. This is your 7-minute warning. You have that long to abandon ship before we turn your fancy space station into scrap metal. Dr. Zelith was hyperventilating. This is impossible. Humans don't have the physical capability to breach our security. Our containment protocols were designed by the finest minds in the galaxy. Your finest minds, Kane's voice continued, never met a really angry human. The station shuddered. Something was wrong with the main power grid. Then the artificial gravity started fluctuating. Up and down, like someone was playing with the controls. Evacuation pods are located on decks 4 through 7, the computer announced. All personnel report to evacuation stations immediately. But the elevators weren't working. The maintenance shafts were sealed. Somehow, Kane and his people had turned our own security systems against us. We were trapped. You wanted to study human rage, Kane announced over the intercom, his voice echoing through the entire station. Well, congratulations. You are about to get a masterclass. That's when the explosion started. Not random destruction, mind you. Precise, calculated demolition. Kane was systematically destroying critical systems. Life support, navigation, power distribution. He was killing the station piece by piece, and he was doing it with the patience of a surgeon. I managed to reach an emergency communication terminal and sent a distress signal to the Kythara fleet. Station Omega 7, to command. We have a code red situation. The human subjects have breached containment. Repeat, we have a code red. The reply came back immediately. Negative. Omega 7, impossible. Human physiology cannot breach Class 5 containment. Check your instruments. The instruments are fine, I screamed into the communicator. The humans are loose, and they are tearing the station apart. Remain calm, Vex-Nine. We are dispatching a security team. ETA 20 minutes. 20 minutes. We'd be dead in 5. Dr. Zelith grabbed my arm. The human rage studies. All our data. We have to save the research. The research is trying to kill us, I pointed out. But think of the scientific implications. We have discovered something unprecedented. Human emotional responses can somehow translate into physical capabilities that exceed all known parameters. This changes everything we know about biology, psychology, physics. Another explosion cut her off. This one was closer, much closer. Attention, space nerds. Kane's voice came again. You are down to 4 minutes. I'd suggest you start running. The thing was, he wasn't even angry. That was the most terrifying part. Kane sounded almost amused, like this was all just an interesting puzzle he was solving. How is he doing this? Dr. Zelith kept asking. How is he accessing our systems? How did he breach containment? How does it matter? I snapped. He's doing it. They are all doing it. Through the observation windows I could see the other humans working with mechanical precision. The businessman was somehow interfacing with computer terminals he shouldn't have been able to understand. The soccer mom was manipulating environmental controls with the expertise of a trained engineer. The teenager was crawling through maintenance shafts that should have been too small for human anatomy. It was like they'd become something else, something beyond the limitations we'd catalogued and categorized. 2 minutes, Kane announced. Hope you have got those escape pods warmed up. That's when I realized the horrible truth. This wasn't random destruction. This wasn't even revenge. This was a demonstration. Kane was showing us, in the most direct way possible, that we'd fundamentally misunderstood what we were dealing with. We thought we were studying human rage, but we'd actually been studying human restraint. And now that restraint was gone. The evacuation alarm was screaming. The station was coming apart around us, and somewhere in the chaos, I could hear Kane's voice, calm and controlled, counting down the final seconds. 10, 9, I grabbed Dr. Zelith and ran for the nearest escape pod. 7, 6, 5. The pod bay doors were already open. Half the resort staff was already gone. The smart ones had left when the first explosion hit. 4, 3, 2, I shoved Dr. Zelith into the pod and slammed the launch button. 1. The last thing I saw before the pod ejected was Kane standing in the station's command center, his hand hovering over what looked like the main reactor controls. He looked directly at me through the viewport and smiled, not the smile of a madman, the smile of someone who'd just finished a job. Then, Station Omega-7 became a star. The explosion lit up half the solar system. 27 years of research, billions of credits in advanced technology, and the most sophisticated xenobiology facility in known space, gone. All of it. Reduced to expanding plasma and debris. And the humans, they were gone too. Vaporized along with everything else. But somehow, I don't think they minded. I think that was exactly what they intended. As I float here in this emergency pod, waiting for rescue, I keep thinking about Kane's last words, about how we'd misunderstood what we were studying, about how human rage wasn't something you could contain or control or weaponize. It was something you survived, if you were lucky. The distress beacon is broadcasting, and I can see rescue ships approaching. They will want a full report. Of course, they will want to know exactly what happened, how 4 humans managed to destroy a station that should have been impregnable. But I'm not sure I can explain it. How do you describe watching supposedly primitive creatures transcend every limitation you thought they had? How do you quantify the moment when scientific theory meets primal reality? All I know is this. We thought we were the superior species. We thought we could study humans like lab rats, catalog their responses, understand their nature. We were wrong. And now our research facility is a crater, expanding at the speed of light, carrying the message to every corner of the galaxy. Don't mess with the humans. They are not nearly as civilized as they pretend to be. The rescue ship arrived exactly 47 minutes after the explosion. Standard protocol, really. Wait for the debris field to stabilize, scan for survivors, then move in. Very methodical, very Kythara, very useless when you are dealing with humans who apparently don't read the manual. Captain Thex Prime pulled me aboard with all the enthusiasm of someone collecting garbage. Vex-Nine, you look terrible. What happened to your research station? It met some humans, I said, still staring at the expanding cloud of superheated gas where my career used to be. Humans did this? The captain's head tentacles twitched in disbelief. 4 primitive bipeds destroyed a Class 7 facility? That's impossible. Yeah. Well, someone forgot to tell them that. Zilith was in the medical bay, sedated and muttering about unprecedented physiological responses and paradigm shifts in xenobiology. The medical officer said she'd be fine, but I wasn't so sure. Some things you see stick with you. Some truths are too big to fit in a scientist's brain. The trip back to Kythara Prime took 3 days. 3 days of endless debriefings, incident reports, and increasingly frustrated superior officers who couldn't understand how their perfect research facility had become an expanding ball of plasma. Let me get this straight, Admiral Corex 7 said, reviewing my report for the 5th time. You are telling me that 4 humans using nothing but their bare hands managed to breach containment, access our computer systems, and detonate the main reactor? That's correct, sir. And you expect me to believe this? With respect, sir, I don't care what you believe. I care about what happened. And what happened is that we severely underestimated the species we were studying. The Admiral's fins flared in annoyance. Vex-Nine, you are clearly suffering from trauma-induced delusions. No organic being can accomplish what you are describing. We will have you examined by our best psychologists. Good luck with that. But while you are scheduling my therapy sessions, maybe you should consider this. If I'm lying, where's Station Omega 7? Where's my research team? Where are the security recordings that should prove me wrong? That got his attention. Because of course, there were no recordings. The humans had made sure of that. They'd wiped everything clean before turning the station into a temporary sun. We will investigate, the Admiral said finally. But until then, you are on administrative leave. The polite way of saying go away until we figure out how to blame this on you. I spent the next 2 weeks in my apartment, watching the news feeds and waiting for the other shoe to drop. The official story was reactor malfunction, a tragic accident, no mention of human subjects or failed experiments. Just another industrial mishap in the endless march of scientific progress. But the truth has a way of getting out, doesn't it? The first hint came from the Zephyr colonies. Reports of unusual human activity in their sector. Ships going missing. Mining operations shutting down for unexplained reasons. The kind of vague bureaucratic language that means someone doesn't want to admit what's really happening. Then the Arcturus trade routes went quiet. 17 commercial vessels. Just gone. No distress signals. No debris fields. No explanations. The Galactic Commerce Authority blamed pirates. But pirates leave evidence. Pirates want people to know they are there. This was different. This was surgical. I tried to contact Admiral Corex 7, but his office said he was unavailable for comment. Dr. Zelith was still in the psychiatric facility, drawing diagrams of human anatomy that didn't match any known biological configuration. The rest of my research team was scattered across the galaxy, most of them reassigned to safer projects. Nobody wanted to talk about what had happened at Station Omega 7. Nobody wanted to admit that we'd awakened something we couldn't control. That's when Ambassador Yix-4 showed up at my door. Vex-Nine, we need to talk. Yix-4 was diplomatic corps, which meant he was either very important or very desperate. Given that he was standing in my hallway at 3 in the morning, I was guessing desperate. Let me guess, I said, letting him in. The humans are angry. Angry is an understatement. They are systematic. He activated a portable holo display and showed me a star map. Red dots, scattered across 3 sectors, all connected by shipping lanes and communication relays. These are the locations of every incident we have had since your station exploded. Notice a pattern. I studied the display. The red dots weren't random. They formed a network, connecting every major Kythara installation within 50 light-years of Earth. They are mapping our infrastructure. Exactly. And they are doing it by systematically dismantling every facility they encounter. No survivors, no witnesses, no evidence. Just empty space where our installations used to be. How many casualties? Officially? None. These are all being classified as equipment failures, navigation errors or piracy. But unofficially, he paused. We have lost contact with over 300 facilities in the past month. That's roughly 12,000 personnel. 12,000. My throat felt dry. All because we tried to study their emotions. It gets worse. We intercepted a transmission from the human homeworld. It was addressed to something called the Terran Defense Council. The message was simple. Package delivered. Subjects retrieved. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2. I didn't like the sound of that. What was Phase 1? We think Phase 1 was your research station. The humans we captured weren't random civilians. They were operatives, soldiers, specially trained individuals who allowed themselves to be captured so they could study our capabilities from the inside. The room spun around me. You mean they wanted to be abducted? We think so. Marcus Kane wasn't just a former Marine. He was active duty, assigned to something called the Xenological Threat Assessment Division. The soccer mom from Nebraska, Sarah Mills, former NSA analyst with expertise in electronic warfare. The businessman from New York, David Harper, MIT graduate with advanced degrees in computer science and nuclear engineering. And the teenager, Emma Rodriguez, age 16, certified genius with an IQ of 200 and a specialty in adaptive systems engineering. She was supposed to be in advanced placement classes. Instead, she spent her summer vacation learning how to destroy alien technology. I sat down hard. They played us. From the beginning, they knew we were watching. They knew we'd eventually make contact. And they were ready. More than ready. They were planning. The holo display changed, showing a new star map. This one showed Earth at the center, with expanding rings of activity spreading outward like ripples in a pond. This is what we think Phase 2 looks like. They are not just defending their home system. They are expanding. Expanding how? Every human ship that's been spotted in the past month has been heading toward colonies on the outer rim. Not our colonies. Everyone else's. The Drex Confederation, the Spiral Alliance, the Vegan Trade Consortium. They are making contact with every major power in the galaxy. Making contact or making threats. Both. The message is always the same. We are humanity. We know you exist. We know where you are. We suggest you leave us alone. And if they don't, Ambassador Yix-4 showed me one more image. It was a long-range sensor scan of the Drex military installation at Kepler-40, or rather, what used to be a military installation. Now it was just a cloud of ionized gas and the fading echo of a massive explosion. The Drex tested humanity's resolve 3 days ago. They sent a battle fleet to Earth's solar system. Standard intimidation tactics, show of force, gunboat, diplomacy. What happened? The entire fleet disappeared. All 17 ships. No distress signals, no debris, no survivors. The only evidence we have is this transmission from the lead ship's final moments. He played an audio file. The voice was speaking in Drex, but the universal translator rendered it in clear, terrified Kythara. They are not supposed to be able to do this. Our shields are rated for antimatter weapons. How are they cutting through our armor with what looks like projectile weapons? What are these humans? What are they? Oh gods, they are boarding us. They are actually boarding us. How are they surviving in vacuum? How are they? The transmission cut off. 17 ships, I whispered. An entire battle fleet. Gone. And the humans sent a message to every government in the galaxy afterward. Just 4 words. We warned you first. I stared at the expanding cloud of debris on the display. So what happens now? Now we try to figure out how to coexist with a species that can apparently ignore the laws of physics when they get angry enough. And if we can't? Ambassador Yix-4's expression was grim. Then we find out what Phase 3 looks like. He left me with a data pad containing classified intelligence reports from across the galaxy. Stories of human ships appearing in systems that should have been unreachable. Tales of impossible technologies that seemed to bend reality itself. Accounts of human operatives who could survive in conditions that should have killed them instantly. One report particularly caught my attention. It was from a vegan mining colony that had encountered a human exploration vessel. The humans had been friendly, diplomatic, even helpful. They'd shared medical supplies and offered technical assistance. But when the colony administrator had made a casual comment about humanity being a young species with much to learn, the human response had been illuminating. Young, perhaps, the human captain had said, but we have been fighting wars since before your species discovered fire. We have been killing each other with rocks and sticks and nuclear weapons and quantum disruptors. We have been perfecting the art of violence for 50,000 years. So when we decided to stop fighting each other and start working together, we brought all of that knowledge with us. What he means, another human had added, is that we are very good at breaking things. We just usually choose not to. The colony administrator had asked what would happen if they chose differently. Then you'd find out why the galaxy is so quiet. The human had replied, because we'd be the only ones left talking. I set down the data pad and walked to my window. Outside, the lights of Kythara Prime stretched to the horizon. Millions of citizens going about their lives, unaware that their entire civilization had just been put on notice by a species they'd never heard of. My communication terminal chimed. A message from Zelith, finally, released from the psychiatric facility. Vex-Nine. I have been thinking about what we witnessed, about the humans and their capabilities. I don't think we were studying their rage at all. I think we were studying their mercy. Mercy. The word hung in the air like a toxin. Consider this, her message continued. Marcus Kane could have killed us all on the first day. Instead, he gave us time to evacuate. Sarah Mills could have vented our atmosphere into space. Instead, she left the life support systems running until the last minute. They weren't trying to murder us, they were trying to send a message. What message? That they could have been much, much worse. I thought about the expanding debris field where Station Omega-7 used to be. About the Drex battle fleet that had simply vanished. About the careful, methodical way the humans were introducing themselves to the galaxy. Not with diplomacy, not with trade agreements or cultural exchanges. With demonstration. They were showing us, one destroyed facility at a time, that they were not the primitive species we'd assumed them to be. They were something else entirely. Something that had learned to package unimaginable violence in the wrapping of civilized restraint. And now that restraint was conditioned, my terminal chimed again. This time, the message was from an unknown sender, but the return address made my blood freeze. Sol System, Terra, Human Space. Greetings, Vex-Nine of the Kythara Research Collective. We trust you are well. We wanted to thank you for your involuntary participation in our first interstellar diplomatic initiative. Your research station provided valuable intelligence about galactic technology levels and military capabilities. We hope you understand that your sacrifice was necessary to prevent a much larger conflict. We also wanted to inform you that humanity has officially established the Terran hegemony. We are now accepting diplomatic relations with all spacefaring species, provided they meet our simple requirements. Don't attack us, don't enslave us, and don't try to study us without permission. Violations of these terms will result in immediate and permanent consequence. We look forward to peaceful coexistence with your species. Please consider this message your formal invitation to establish diplomatic relations. We will be expecting your response within 30 standard days. Sincerely, the Terran Diplomatic Corps. P.S. Marcus Kane says hello. He's been promoted to Admiral and is now in charge of our new Xenological Response Division. He speaks very highly of your research methods. I stared at the message until the words burned themselves into my memory. Then I walked back to my window and looked out at the city lights again. Somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, humanity was building an empire, not through conquest or colonization, but through the simple, terrifying demonstration that they could destroy anything they chose to destroy, and they were giving us 30 days to decide whether we wanted to be their friends or their examples. I picked up my communication terminal and started composing a message to Admiral Cork 7. It was time to tell him the truth. The whole truth about human capabilities, about their real intentions, and about the choice we now faced. Because I'd learned something important from my time studying humans. They always kept their promises. And if we didn't respond to their invitation properly, our next research project would be figuring out how to rebuild our civilization from scratch. The humans weren't just capable of destroying our research station. They were capable of turning our entire galaxy into a crater, and they were politely asking us not to make them prove it. But of course, the galaxy being what it is, someone had to test them. The Hegemony Council meeting was exactly as chaotic as I'd expected. Representatives from 47 different species, all talking at once, all convinced they knew better than everyone else. The Kythara delegation sat in the back, trying to look invisible while I prepared to deliver the most important briefing of my career. Order! Order! Chancellor Vex-Nine banged his ceremonial staff against the floor. We are here to discuss the human situation. Vex-Nine of the Kythara Research Collective will present his findings. I stood up, my legs still shaking from the sedatives they'd given me after my third nervous breakdown in 2 weeks. Honored delegates, I'm here to tell you that we are facing an unprecedented threat. Senator Cax of the Drex Confederation stood up, his battle-scarred carapace gleaming under the chamber lights. You speak of 4 primitives destroying a single research station. My people have conquered 17 star systems. We are not impressed by human tantrums. Senator Cax, respect. Your people also lost an entire battle fleet to these same primitives. The chamber erupted in whispers. The Drex had been keeping that information classified, but leaked intelligence has a way of spreading lies. Cax hissed. The 17th fleet was destroyed by unknown pirates using advanced weaponry. There's no evidence of human involvement. I activated my holo display. This is the final transmission from your flagship, the Dominion's Edge. Perhaps you'd like to hear it again? The terrified voice of the Drex fleet commander filled the chamber. The part where he described humans surviving in vacuum and boarding ships with their bare hands was particularly effective. Senator Cax's mandibles clicked in agitation. Sensor malfunctions. Combat stress. My officers were clearly suffering from combat fatigue. All 17 ships? All crews suffering identical hallucinations? We demand proof, Ambassador Thex of the Spiral Alliance interrupted. Real evidence, not recordings that could be fabricated. That's when my communication terminal chimed. The message from Sol System, broadcast on all available frequencies. Greetings, Galactic Hegemony Council. We understand you are currently discussing our recent diplomatic initiatives. We thought you might appreciate a real-time demonstration of human capabilities. The chamber fell silent. Please direct your attention to the Kepler 442 system, where the former Drex military installation is located. We have prepared a small exhibition for your consideration. Long-range sensors throughout the chamber activated automatically. Every delegate watched as the display showed empty space where the Drex facility had been destroyed 3 weeks ago. As you can see, the debris field is still expanding. Standard physics would suggest this process will continue for several more months. However, we have developed some new techniques since our last encounter. The debris field stopped expanding, not slowed, not diverted, stopped. As if someone had pressed a pause button on the laws of physics. We are now reversing the expansion process. Please observe. The cloud of ionized gas and metal fragments began contracting, pulling back toward the center of the explosion. Massive chunks of destroyed starships reassembled themselves, like a recording played in reverse. This is impossible, whispered Dr. Ketheth, the Vegan Trade Consortium. You can't reverse entropy. You can't unexplode matter. Apparently you can if you are human, I said quietly. The reconstruction continued until the entire Drex military installation hung in space, perfectly restored. Every building, every ship, every piece of equipment, exactly as it had been before the attack. We want to be clear, the human transmission continued. We are not showing you this to intimidate you. We are showing you this to demonstrate that our previous actions were restrained. When we destroyed the Drex installation, we chose to make it permanent. This restoration is proof that we could have chosen differently. The rebuilt station suddenly vanished, not destroyed, not exploded, simply erased from existence as if it had never been there at all. The choice of how we interact with your species remains yours. We prefer cooperation, but we are prepared for alternatives. The transmission ended. The chamber was dead silent for exactly 7 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. Temporal manipulation, violation of thermodynamics, impossible technology, strategic deception. Chancellor Vex-Nine was banging his staff frantically. Order, order. We need to discuss response protocols. Response protocols? Senator Cox's voice was several octaves higher than usual. They just demonstrated the ability to rewrite reality itself. What kind of response protocol covers that? Ambassador Thex stood up. This changes everything. If the humans can manipulate time and space, then traditional military responses are useless. Not necessarily, came a new voice from the back of the chamber. Admiral Court 7 had arrived, flanked by military advisors from a dozen different species. We have been analyzing human capabilities for the past month. They are not God. They are just very, very good at making us think they are. Explain, Chancellor Vex-Nine demanded. The station reversal wasn't time manipulation. It was matter reconstruction, using quantum field. Liponal, extremely advanced, but theoretically possible. The erasure wasn't reality alteration. It was instantaneous matter conversion to energy, then dissipation across multiple dimensions. That's supposed to be reassuring, Dr. Keth asked. It means they are using technology, not magic. Technology can be countered. I stood up again. Admiral, with respect, you are missing the point. It doesn't matter if we can theoretically counter their technology. What matters is that they have demonstrated complete superiority in every category that matters for warfare. Elaborate. They have shown us they can breach our best defenses, access our most secure systems, survive in conditions that should kill them, and manipulate matter at the quantum level. They have done all of this while maintaining perfect operational security and strategic patience. Most importantly, they have shown us that everything we have seen so far has been them being nice. The chamber erupted again. This time, Chancellor Vex-Nine didn't bother calling for order. They are offering us a choice, I continued, raising my voice over the chaos. Accept their terms for peaceful coexistence, or find out what happens when they stop being diplomatic. What terms? Admiral Court 7 asked. I pulled up the human diplomatic message. Don't attack them. Don't enslave them. Don't study them without permission. Pretty reasonable, considering they could apparently erase our entire civilization if we annoy them. Unacceptable, Senator Cax declared. The Drex Confederation does not negotiate with terrorists. They are not terrorists, I said. They are the new apex predators of the galaxy, and they are being surprisingly polite about it. My communication terminal chimed again. Another message from Sol System. We have been monitoring your discussion with great interest. We appreciate the candid nature of your debate. However, we feel compelled to address some misconceptions. The voice was different this time. Younger, female, with an accent I couldn't identify. This is Admiral Sarah Mills, speaking on behalf of the Terran hegemony. Some of you may remember me from my time as a research subject on Station Omega 7. I wanted to personally thank Vex-Nine for his excellent hospitality during our stay. I felt my face flush purple. Mills was the soccer mom from Nebraska, the one who'd been worried about her kids. We want to clarify something important. Mills continued. The demonstration at Kepler 4042 wasn't our most advanced technology. It was what we call a basic diplomatic courtesy. We wanted to show you that we can undo our previous actions if necessary. The technology we used for that demonstration is approximately 50 years old by our standards. Our current capabilities are significantly more advanced. For example, we have been listening to your debate in real time, despite your chamber being shielded against all known forms of surveillance. We have also been monitoring the strategic discussions taking place in your respective capital cities. We know about the military build-ups, the alliance negotiations, and the various plots being hatched to deal with the human problem. The chamber was silent again. We are not telling you this to threaten you. We are telling you this so you can make informed decisions. Any military action taken against human interests will be met with immediate and disproportionate response. However, we prefer cooperation to conflict. To that end, we are prepared to make a more substantial offer. The holographic display activated again, showing star maps of the entire galaxy. Hundreds of systems were highlighted in blue. These are uninhabited systems with planets suitable for terraforming. We are offering them to any species that agrees to our diplomatic terms, free of charge, with technical assistance for colonization efforts. Why? Chancellor Vex-Nine asked aloud. Because we have done the math, Mills replied. The galaxy is big enough for all of us. We don't need to fight over resources or territory. We just need to establish ground rules for coexistence. And if we refuse, then you will discover what our military capabilities look like when we are not being diplomatic. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. I looked around at the assembled delegates. Fear, confusion, and calculation warred across their faces. Some were clearly considering the human offer. Others were already planning military responses. A few looked like they were having religious experiences. Motion to vote, Senator Cox said finally. All in favor of accepting human diplomatic terms. The vote was closer than I'd expected. 24 in favor, 21 opposed, 2 abstentions. Not exactly a ringing endorsement of peaceful coexistence. Motion fails to achieve required majority, Chancellor Vex-Nine announced. Alternative proposals. Military alliance, Admiral Corix 7 said immediately. Combined fleets from all major powers. Coordinate response to human expansion. Second, Senator Cox added, we cannot allow a single species to dictate terms to the entire galaxy. The vote on military action was even closer, 23 in favor, 24 opposed. Motion fails, Chancellor Vex-Nine announced. Recount. Several delegates shouted. No recount necessary, came a new voice from the chamber's speakers. We have been counting along with you. This time, the voice was unmistakably male, with a slight accent. I now recognized as American English. Admiral Marcus Kane, Terran Hegemony Defense Force. I wanted to personally thank you for your democratic process. It's been very informative. How are you accessing our communication systems? Chancellor Vex-Nine demanded. The same way we have been accessing everything else. Superior technology and careful planning. We noticed that your vote on military action failed by a single vote. We find this encouraging. It suggests that most of your species are capable of rational decision-making. However, we are concerned about the 23 delegates who voted in favor of military action. We have taken the liberty of examining their individual voting records and policy positions. Frankly, we are not impressed. The holographic display showed detailed profiles of each delegate who'd voted for military action, personal histories, political positions, financial records, even psychological evaluations. Senator Cox, for example, has voted for military action against 12 different species in the past 20 years. His record shows a consistent pattern of choosing violence over diplomacy. Admiral Corix 7 has overseen the development of 17 different weapon systems specifically designed to target civilian populations. His strategic philosophy appears to be based on the principle that fear is more effective than negotiation. Representative Thax of the Outer Rim Coalition has been embezzling funds from refugee assistance programs to finance private military contractors. The profiles continued, each more damning than the last. We are not sharing this information to embarrass anyone, Kane continued. We are sharing it to demonstrate that we know exactly who we are dealing with, and frankly, some of you should not be in positions of authority. You cannot simply dismiss our elected representatives, Chancellor Vex-Nine protested. We are not dismissing anyone. We are offering career counseling. That's when the transporter beams activated. 23 delegates simply vanished from their seats. Not violently, not dramatically. They just faded away like ghosts. They are safe, Kane assured the remaining delegates. They have been relocated to a comfortable facility where they can reflect on their life choices. They will be returned to their home systems once they have completed our diplomatic education program. This is kidnapping, someone shouted. This is Tuesday, Kane replied. We kidnap warmongers on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays we relocate arms dealers. Thursdays are for corrupt politicians. It's a very efficient system. Now then, Kane continued, let's try that vote again. All in favor of accepting Terran hegemony diplomatic terms. The vote was unanimous. Excellent. Welcome to the new galactic order. We look forward to working with you. As I sat in my chair watching the remaining delegates try to process what had just happened, I realized that the humans hadn't just destroyed our research station. They'd destroyed the entire concept of traditional interstellar politics. They weren't conquering the galaxy, they were managing it. And somehow that was even more terrifying.